Finally, Despia locks down its first YCS win of what I suspect will probably be many. I'm like 30% of you guys have not smashed the crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so we can get to 105,000. So this is the very early breakdown here on YCS. What is it? Bogota, I believe is the pronunciation for that. Don't quote me on that. I'm terrible with these sorts of things. So top 8, well, I guess the most interesting thing to say here was Patrick Hoban did in fact top 32 this with Despia, which is actually really cool to see. We also had a Raidraptor list in Top Cut, which I will cover in this video in full detail because that is awesome. And we're also missing one list out of top 8 here, but your top 8 breakdown goes as follows here. We have 3 Despia decks, which is pretty impressive, all things considered. Second place ended up being Prank Kids, which, okay, I for sure didn't see that coming. Considering the fact that there was only one Prank Kids deck in top 4 minus the missing one. Sword Soul had a fantastic showing as well from Alan Roman. We'll talk about that list here in a second. But in terms of craziness, I think the most interesting thing was Branded Eldritch creeping through the top 8 as well. Now, we've kind of seen this variant gaining a little bit of momentum as of late because being able to just mill off an Eldritch to Golden Lord via Branded Fusion and be able to kind of capitalize on up the fusion ladder is free real estate. All right, so that's no real surprise there. And we had Cyberse Eldritch also performing, so basically the Brothers of Destruction in terms of Eldritch variants doing well. But I haven't seen no back row Eldritch. Where's my skill drain lich at? It's not performing. But locking down the event was none other than Despia. Actually pretty interesting for the format. So yeah, Despia really power creeping hard. All right, let's go take a look at these deck lists, shall we? First place out of this event here is Despia. Now, some interesting things about this list that I found particularly out there. So we have one Albion in here, which gives you the ability to get an additional draw, shuffle back, and do some dumping from the deck. Okay, I haven't seen a lot of Albion kind of taking off, but all right. I'm glad to see that one of these was successful in here. We also had the 2 McCourier in here, or the 1 McCourier here. So your opponent activates a monster effect while you control a fusion monster that mentions Fallen Valve as material. Quick effect, send this card from your hand or face up the field of the graveyard to negate that effect. And if a card is banished, you can add this stupid, or you can add a Fallen Valbaz or a monster that mentions Tri Brigade, or yeah, you could add basically Albaz from your deck to your hand, which is kind of cool. Alright. Or a monster that mentions it. Alright. I mean, that's also going to come in handy, which is where you can go search for the Albion interaction here. We're also playing 1 Dramaturgia, 1 Ablidium, 1 Dramaturgia is fine in terms of things. And we also have Branded Loss in here. The activation of your cards and effects that include the effect to fusion summon a monster cannot be negated. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects, alright, when summoned this way. And if you fusion summon a fusion monster, you can add a Fallen Valbaz or a monster that mentions it from your deck to your hand. So Branded Lost starting to get some momentum here as well in terms of support. So like, this wasn't like your average list. Like, this was pretty heavy. You also see here we have the crossout designators, and we do have talents making the way in here. We do have a reduction to super polys here. I know a lot of people are trying to mess around with the multiple super polys, and while that's not inherently a bad idea, just seeing 3 feels a little bit clunky. 2 seems to be like the optimal number here. You can definitely tell down here with the side deck that things are pretty optimized. Also, summon limit's a pretty cute thing. Setting up a Murjay and then ending on like a summon limit just literally laughs at your opponent. Not bad. Next up here is our top 8 Sword Soul list here. Now, Sword Soul is pretty standardized at this point in time, unless you're like trying to go like down the adventure package, and you're kind of in a different realm of things, in my opinion. So to see a very standardized, yeah, triple Mogi, double Tai, triple Long Yun, and then of course we're not playing Synthana in here for our package. The water one's more like, I would say, something a little bit more fun on the side that you might want to mess around with, and that's fine. Also, Heavenly Dragon Cycle has just been pretty much cut at this point in time. Whatever value you got out of Heavenly Dragon Cycle has been long since just erased. Vessel's just way better. I also see we have triple Godarla down here. I assume that this is for the Flunder matchup. Okay. We also have double Mystic Mine and, of course, the triple Anti-Spell Fragrance here. Wrapping up Swordsel. Yeah, I don't see anything else to left field here that screams crazy to me, unfortunately. All right, next up here is branded. Okay, so this is 50 cards. So for this Eldritch variant, we have, okay, so there was somebody in here that did have the triple skill drain. I guess this is actually kind of cute when you think about it, because you get the best of both worlds here. You get the ability to make Mirror Jades. You get the stupid adventure package in here, so you can laugh your opponent, because one here needs to be normal summon. Like, at no point should anything in here really be, yeah, you're on your 1/1 package here, you're making DP. Yeah, this is basically the next form evolution of Cyberse Eldritch. You just amputate off the Cyberse part. I feel like you just get a much better package overall. This deck is kind of scary, actually, when you look at it. Man, triple Cursed Eldland here, too. This is by far probably one of the piles of cards that catches my attention really, really well. And if you're somebody out here that still wants to play things like Eldritch, give this a shot, because I think you'll have a lot of fun with this. All right. Next up here is the Raidraptor Duelist. I don't know what it is, but like every time some random event ends up happening that doesn't have coverage, what is it? Like Abyss Actors and Raidraptors come out of the woodwork, and they do relatively well. This is no exception to the rule. So basically, you remember when we talked about previous Raidraptor builds here, this deck just climbs up through the toolbox ladders here, and you just like rank up magic your opponent. Like, what's your opponent going to do against an Ultimate Falcon? Ain't nobody prepared for that. I think in terms of left field decks that will just catch players off guard, this is it. All right. And to see that this not only made it through top 32, made its way into top 16, and was able to succeed, I'm going to give it up and clap for it. Like, that is diversity at its best, ladies and gentlemen. You got to love when a good format can produce awesome results like this. Next up is a Tri-Brigade variant for DP. Now, I long have since thought that Tri-Brigade was off in a corner crying somewhere. All right, but to see that this deck came back with full vengeance out of this weekend, making top 30 or top 16, that's good to see. I am glad to see that this deck is still being like a rogue contender at the least, can still keep up and do things. All right, now, is this like the end-all be-all build? Probably not, but I'm not going to knock it too much. I am glad to see that they still are playing the Lyricalist package to a little bit of a degree. Also, I mean, the Assembled Nightingale is a heck of a card, ladies and gentlemen. Like, we have to understand at the end of the day, like, the power that is just produced because of this card's existence is really, really good. All right. Outside of that, yeah, I'm glad to see that Tri is able to kind of keep up still to everybody's expectations. Not bad. Next up here, 60 card prank kit. Yep. So this is what we call based prank kits, where we take advantage of all of the good stuff that all of the other engines build. And of course, this right here is going to be the backbone of this deck. The fact that you'll be able to search literally anything that you need in terms of your entire arsenal toolbox is really, really good. Small World as a card in these larger decks is really good. Yeah, you lose a little bit of consistency, but like what you lose, I feel like you just make up with the inclusion of Small World built into your deck. Also, we have Crossout Designators in here. I'm noticing more of these 60 card variants are taking more advantage of Crossout Designator, because once again, you have more resources, which means that you can cover more of your bases. And then, you know, at the end of the day, you just got to draw it. Draw the out 5-head, and you'll be absolutely fine. But I, once again, seeing 3/3/3 on these feels a little bit heavy, but once again, 60 cards, you want to make sure that you can see it at the end of the day. And the last one we actually have for you guys here is Despia branded. This was Mitchel's top 32 list here. We have one Ablydium. This build, we are playing the one Fallen of Albaz and the one Comedy. I still don't like playing one Fallen of Albaz in the more pure build, because if anything happens to your combo, you just cry. I also see that we are playing the Brave package in here, but on reduced numbers, and I understand that. I think it's fine. Also, only 2 Aluber is fine in terms of things. We're also just getting spicy down here. We got some Dimension Shifter in here. Alright, so I guess this is just to laugh at our opponent, right? Like, we just set up full combo, and then we're like, haha, like, what are you gonna do? nothing, I guess. So that is your current information that is available on the YCS out of this weekend. Please leave a comment below. Tell me what you guys think. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. I look forward to seeing what more will kind of ripple on out of this event. All right, guys, peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.